Welcome back to Askewed Reviews. And due to the unfortunate recent passing of Donald Sutherland, I'm going to be doing three movies in memoriam of him. So the three films I'm going to be doing are one that I've never seen before, one that's considered a classic, and one that's just one of my personal favorites. So as for the one that I've never seen before, today is going to be the 1978 film, The Great Train Robbery. Here's your trivia question for today. When the final plan is almost ruined, what does Pierce request to save the plan? The answer will be at the end of this episode. So, in this film, it's 1855, and we meet our main character, Edward Pierce. He happens to be a member of high society, but is also a master thief. So, Pierce has now set his sights on a particularly difficult heist, which involves a bunch of gold from the Crimean War. What makes this job particularly difficult is the fact that all of the gold is being transported on a train car. And currently, at this point in history, no one has ever attempted to steal from a moving train. So, the first few people that Pierce enlists into his caper are his mistress, Miriam, his chauffeur, Barlow, and one of the train guards, Burgess. Pierce does quickly learn that he's going to need even more help, though, as part of the plan is acquiring four separate keys from three separate people and locations. He then reaches out to some professionals, including Robert Agar, who happens to be a pickpocket, and Clean Willie, who happens to be a cat burglar. So, with all of these individuals working together, and with a caper like this never having been pulled off before, will they be able to steal the keys, steal the gold, and get off the train without getting caught? This movie was directed and written by Michael Crichton. Crichton, by the way, actually caught his hair on fire from the embers of the train during the sequence near the end of the film. The movie, by the way, is based off of the book that's also written by Michael Crichton, which in turn is loosely based off of the actual crime that was committed in 1855. It also does share some similarities with the 1903 short film also named The Great Train Robbery. Now, especially in England and some other countries, the film is known as the first Great Train Robbery so that it wasn't confused with the 1963 British train robbery that was on a mail train and £2 million were stolen from it. Sean Connery and Donald Sutherland were actually a really great duo in this film, and it makes me wish that they would have appeared in more movies together. Sean Connery actually did most of his own stunts for the film. In fact, he spent several days running on top of that moving train. Now, he was pretty scared for his own life, though, as he felt that the train was moving too fast. The train drivers said that they were only traveling at 35 miles per hour, but Connery felt it was much faster, and when they ended up clocking it, Connery was right, as the train was actually traveling at 55 miles per hour. The character of Clean Willie was played by a premier ballet dancer known as Wayne Sleep. Wayne Sleep, by the way, also did all of his own stunts, although begrudgingly, as they had not hired a stuntman for him, so when his character is scaling the wall, that's actually him. Nick Nolte was apparently in talks to play a character in this film, although I'm uncertain as to which one. He turned it down though, as producer Dino De Laurentiis said that if he was going to be in this film, he also had to be in the film Orca, and Nolte had no interest in appearing in that movie. If you didn't know this, the ratting scene in the film happened for real. The sewer rats that were used were real rats, and the dog that was used, unbeknownst to the crew, was actually trained as a ratting dog. So when it attacks them, that actually happened, and they just kept it in the film. Now, they were very close to receiving a fine or even something worse from that, but nothing ended up happening. Here's some interesting information about a sequence that you may or may not have been confused by. When Pierce is worried that Willie has ratted them out to the police, he says that he'll see him in lavender if he did rat on them. Seeing him in lavender was an old Victorian slang for seeing you dead, both in reference to the fact that lavender flowers were used at a funeral to hide the stench, and, at least around the area, there was the London Lavender Hill Cemetery. This movie was filmed in Ireland and England. So when it comes to the film, The Great Train Robbery, I actually really enjoyed this one. I love the chemistry between Connery and Sutherland. I like the story. There's some really great comedic moments involving flirtations that also are highly amusing. And in general, I thought it was a good heist film. So I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5. And if you also enjoyed this film, other movies I recommend checking out are The Newton Boys, The Italian Job, Ocean's 11, and Money Train. And now it's time for the trivia question from the beginning of this episode. When the final plan is almost ruined, what does Pierce request to save the plan? Right as everyone thinks that the heist is going to have to be canceled, Pierce exclaims that he needs a dead cat. Now, luckily, unlike the rats, the cat was in fact fake. The concept for this plan was to put a dead cat into the casket that Agar was going to hide in and pretend to be a dead body so that he could get onto the train. The cat was there to give the stench of death and the believability that Agar was dead. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews. And if there's a movie you'd like to see get a review, just mention it in the comments.